think initial experiences very much can frame the approaches that we may end up taking for decades of our lives to come. And that was certainly the case for me. Formative experience are truly that. For me, I joined the Peace Corps. For you, you are all volunteers. I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and that volunteer perspective of listening, of helping, of questioning, of trying to understand what it is that people want in their hearts. And that's not an easy journey to help identify. But that was very much part of our Peace Corps service. It's community-based, as you all are. We're just trying to be helpful for the time that we have. And that introduced me to the participatory planning methodology, which then informed the graduate study that I dedicated myself to. I found a graduate school that focused just on that at Clark University in Massachusetts. And it really, it's what I draw from today. It's the basis of the mission of the Hylas Foundation. And it's also the critical lesson that we've learned in development over generations, which is that sustainability is very much now equated with community participation. And that participation is as or even more important, as evaluations have shown, than finance. If we can imagine, where would we be without finance? The ability to buy seeds and build and pay labor and transportation and all of that requiring funding. And yet community participation is even more determinant on sustainability than that, than financial means. So, and that is a world of study. It's a community participation is a research methodology. It helps us, it creates cause and effect reactions within theoretical frameworks, meaning that it has repercussions beyond the locality. And fortunately for Morocco, for the people of Morocco, and for all organizations so dedicated, it's also the law of the land in this country that communities, municipalities need to create development plans based on people's participation, which means that bottom-up movement can grow and scale. And that's a wonderful place to work when you have such possibility. The only thing that I had coming to Morocco was the belief that the decision was right. That's all. I didn't have any sort of understanding of the mechanics of community-driven change or sustainability. I knew that I would be placed in a village that neighbored a national park, so there had to be development, environment, integration, and single initiatives. But what that took, I really had no idea. I only had the hugely essential benefit of having made a decision that I know I wasn't gonna, I never looked back on. I never had a moment of doubt. I never, and that I say this because it's really important, not the decisions we make, but how we make them. How do we make good decisions? We'll make bad ones, but our process is very key toward having more positive ones than less so. And so what is our goal? By way of community decision-making and control, to be able to fulfill the agricultural value chain, buying organic, building cooperatives, monitoring trees for carbon offsets, that entire link of activities managed by the growers, generating income to such a level that it lifts human development more broadly, education, health, clean water, all the priorities of the people beyond agriculture are financed by their agricultural multiplication of income and food and opportunity. I remember visiting a cooperative, and they were able to have a place to sell the agricultural goods that they grew and processed. It was certified by the Ministry of Agriculture, which is an incredible thing. The level of growth of that cooperative relatively to others was quite exceptional. And when we went there, they, of course, I mean, you know, but they have tremendous needs and vision and desire and hope, and they want, and as we all would, they want to build more. And I remember feeling, which is, I think, something that is relevant in many cases, that this cooperative, whether the HAF Foundation were to be of assistance or not, this cooperative is going to achieve what they have set out to. Is it possible they might achieve it in a different way or at a different timeline with the HAF Foundation? Perhaps. But they were on their way. Why would we be willing to put our mental and physical health at risk for a cause we entirely believe in, but that, you know, with some faith and hope and belief, we are going to grow as a society, as a world, and we all have to do our best, but must we lay our life on the line? Must we expose ourselves to driving at night when there's 9 times the number of accidents? I don't believe we should. I don't believe we are doing this. We are doing this to live for long life. We are not doing this to cut short any life, including our own, in any way, at any scale. And I've learned that the hard way. I lived in my first 2 years in the mountains of Morocco, coming from the United States. I developed intestinal disease. It ended up 80% of my intestine had to be removed. 20 years later, after suffering, bleeding half of those 20 years. And so I've come to this conclusion. I'm just not one to believe in self-sacrifice to the extent that it takes our lifeline. I'll just add a couple quick thoughts. We had the realization in Morocco that at one point we had, $10+ million in pending proposals. And we realized if they were all funded, we still would not be able to make transformational scaled change. What I mean to say is that there isn't enough development assistance in the world dedicated by governments in order to eradicate poverty. We need to be part of organizations that develop their own funding stream. What is going to be your organization's pathway to financial independence that accelerates and compounds and grows?